Hello and welcome to the Front Office Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus Cameron, and of course, the show is sponsored by Tees and Trees Clothing. Tees and Trees is where we stand on business. Good morning, good afternoon. Not sure what time you're viewing the video, but we appreciate the views, all the subscribers. Welcome back. If you're new to the channel, man, please hit the click, like, share, and subscribe button, man. We definitely appreciate it. Woo! Busy weekend, man. It's late Monday night. It'll be Tuesday by the time y'all get a chance to check out the video. A couple of things I want to touch on. Of course, women's college basketball. That's all over the place right now with the LSU Tigers and South Carolina Gamecocks. Huge game, SEC championship on Sunday. We're going to get into that. Lakers streaking in the NBA. I love it. The Lakers are streaking, putting together a few big wins, some historic performances. We'll get into that, and we'll touch a little bit on free agency. I'm not going to get too far into it just because it just started today. Already some crazy moves. All right, but let's start the show, man. Let's get to the topic of LSU and the Lady Gamecocks. Man, it was a great game on Sunday. It really was, man. It was a great game. I can't even front. Like, I was playing golf with some homies, and we had it on the iPad. It was that entertaining. It was a physical game, very physical game. And for the SEC championship, I thought USC, their team is loaded. I think Dawn is 9 or 10 players deep that she can actually put in rotation. LSU was down a few starters. No excuses. Lady Gamecocks came out with the win. Sorry. For sure, that's a great thing for us. I'm a Gamecock fan now, just on the basketball side, not football yet. Men's basketball, women's basketball, I'm with y'all. Nothing against the football team. Gonna need a little bit more for me to leave Florida State. But super happy for the Gamecocks, man. Unfortunately, there was a little bit of a scrummage. I don't even want to really call it a fight. I don't even think it was a fight. It was just more like a little dust up between quite a few players, actually. Ashley Watkins was involved, Carmela Cardoza, the Johnson girl from LSU, their point guard, I forget her name. She came over and pushed Cardoza after everything happened. I don't have any judgment about Cardoza reacting in an emotional moment. I will say, just looking at it from the outside, looking in, I felt like the girl from LSU was frustrated. Malaysia, shout out to her, man. She was balling. 24 points, freshman, SEC championship game, homegrown, man. Keenan High School. Shout out to Keenan. That's what's up. You know what I mean? Like, for real. Shout out to that young lady, man. She played amazing on Sunday. But she ripped old girl from LSU. And old girl was frustrated. You could tell she was frustrated, and she kind of held on to her a little bit too long, but she did let her go. And Raven Johnson actually kind of came over just to kind of get in between it and calm things down. If you go back and watch the video, I'm not calling Ashley Watkins out. My cousin actually know her pretty well, so she was hype. She was crunk, but just back the video up and watch her approach the young lady after she got ripped and everything like that. So it was shit being taught throughout the game. Angel Reese, everybody on the floor was talking shit. And as a basketball fan, man, I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's great for women's college basketball. I think it's great for women's basketball. They compete just like the men do. And honestly, the men's tournament is going to be the men's tournament. It's going to be exciting, but it's going to be the women's tournament is going to see a bump in ratings just because of games like that. It's unfortunate that, coaches had to apologize and do all this and do all that. But, shout out to Dawn Staley again, class personified, apologize to the fans and people at home immediately after the fight or the dust up, and, continue with that same type of class throughout her press conference. I watched the entire thing. I will say this though, people, man. I put a post on Facebook, the Front Office Podcast page. If you responded or commented on or liked the post or whatever the case may be, man, I appreciate it. I generally just wanted people's feedback And the most feedback I got, I asked the question, was Kim Mulkey sticking up for her team, or was she out of bounds with her comments about, I wish she would have pushed Angel Reese like that? I'm in agreement with y'all, man. I'm in agreement that she shouldn't have said it. You know, I know for a fact that if you've played a competitive sport, if you've coached a competitive sport, and when I say competitive, I mean like you could be rec league, AAU, whatever. If you've been a coach, man, and you've lost a game in which you felt like you should have won, you feel some type of way about it. You feel some type of way about it. When something like that happens, you feel some type of way about that. I don't think it's an entitlement thing. I see a lot of people have been posting, oh, she's entitled, and basically insinuating that she's entitled because she's white. Here's my issue with that. Kim Mulkey is entitled. She's entitled because she's a great coach. She's got 3 national championships. She's definitely going to go down in the Hall of Fame as a coach. She's got 2 different national championships at 2 different schools. I'm not sure if she's the only woman to do that, but I'm pretty sure that list is not that long. I think what Kim Mulkey was doing was sticking up for her players. She shouldn't have said it. But I think she was sticking up for her players more than trying to incite thuggish behavior. I understand why Dawn didn't say what she probably wants to say, because Dawn understands it's unfair, but it's going to be viewed a certain type of way. We can go back to last year when people were supposedly calling their team thugs and things of that nature. Well, guess what? It's blame on both sides, because I don't think those young ladies are thugs or anything like that. But go back and look at the tape. When the girl got ripped and she's walking away from Malaysia, there are 3 Gamecocks around her. There's not LSU players all in everybody's face. That young lady's trying to get to the bench. She's frustrated. It's an emotional moment. And you got people running up on you, flexing you in your face. She pushed the girl. She was wrong, completely wrong. And Cordoza wasn't even in the picture. She wasn't even in the picture, ran over and pushed her down. Like, we was wrong. We were up. We were winning the game. There was no need to escalate it at that. And anybody who thinks that Dawn ain't in them girls' shit, ain't in they fucking grits when they got in that locker room, you're crazy. You're crazy. If you don't think Dawn felt like Kim Mulkey, you're crazy. Dawn is a competitor. Kim Mulkey is a competitor. I don't think Kim Mulkey is entitled because she's white. I think she's entitled because she's one of the best coaches in college women's basketball. It's a big fucking difference. So let's stop trying to make everything fucking black and white, because it ain't. It was a great game. It was a great thing for women's basketball, college, WNBA, all that. And the only thing that y'all focus on is the bullshit. And now it's like, oh, Kim Mulkey, these are the type of players or this is the type of attitude that she brings. And she preaches this type of attitude. Well, what's funny about that shit is y'all was all for it when Angel Reese was doing that shit to Caitlin Clark last year in the championship game. Y'all was super for it. Super for it. Like, oh, Caitlin Clark did this to the girl and she shouldn't, she got what she deserved. Caitlin Clark was checking out the game and Angel Reese was walking her to the bench doing that. I didn't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with LSU playing physical. I don't have a problem with USC responding and playing physical. I don't have a problem with, being emotional throughout the game. I do have a problem with the push because Cordoza is the best player on the team. And you know what? At the end of the day, you got a bigger responsibility than a lot of people, and you shouldn't have put your team in that position because now they got to play that first round game, which I don't think they're going to lose either way. But if they happen to lose, that's on your watch. That's some shit that nobody told you to do. I get sticking up for your team, but it was 3-on-1 over there. Nobody in your team was in trouble. Not one person. And you put your team in jeopardy. So that doesn't mean that she's a bad person. That doesn't mean that she's a bad player. I think she'll learn from that. They put out a good statement right after the game. I thought that was pretty classy. But no, I'm not buying the whole Kim Mulkey is entitled bullshit. I'm not. It's not black and white. It was women's college basketball. And yeah, I'm not naive. Of course, there's racism and underlying tones and everything in the world. It just is what it is. But that woman has coached so many African American women and probably held them in the utmost standard and put them at a different place in life. Is it every one of them going to be perfect? No. Your favorite football coach is probably doesn't have the approval of every player that he's ever coached. Same thing with basketball, NBA, NFL. It is what it is. But for the most part, I can tell that she loves those young ladies. She stuck up for them. She knows it's a huge task to try to beat USC. She knows she has to hype them up. And if you're a coach that's not trying to find every angle to win a game, then, you're not a really good coach, in my opinion. So I'm not going to knock her for that. But definitely big shout out to Dawn for staying classy. You know what I mean? Doing exactly what she know how to do. Understanding the position that she's in, her team is in. And I'm ready for the tournament. I can't wait, man. It's a lot of great teams out there, not just USC and LSU. Notre Dame just won the ACC championship. They got a freshman guard who's tough. USC, University of Southern California, they're going to be a number 1 seed. They got Juju Watkins, who literally outscored Caitlin Clark her freshman year. Juju's a freshman. Stanford is a really good team. Ohio State has a good team. It's a lot of good teams out there, man. I think the tournament's going to be great. Shout out to the ladies, man. It was right after Women's Empowerment Week, man. That's what's up. That is what's up. But moving on, man, let's get to the NBA real quick. This episode is going to go a little longer just because there's so much more to cover. I'm kind of excited about it, honestly. But the NBA is going on. Minnesota was in the number 1 seed. I think they fell down to 2 now with the loss to the Lakers. Lakers are climbing. They're at 9. They've won 2, I want to say maybe 3 out of 5. And before that, was maybe 7 out of 9. I think they undefeated since LeBron and the damn Playboy picture with Jeannie Buss. That was crazy. But, of course, y'all going to look all into that and read up on it. whatever, man. But I think the Lakers are learning how to let their other players play. I think that's going to be their Achilles heel. Anthony Davis had a great game against the Timberwolves, and he kind of has to be pushed a little bit. I will say that about Anthony Davis. If you let him go out there and just get in his rhythm, he's not screaming, he's not dunking the ball, he's not doing this. He's just a smooth game, get his rebounds, get his points, and do what he need to do. Whereas Naz Reid was giving his ass the business in that first half, and he was definitely letting them know about that shit. And Anthony Davis took that shit personal. He took that shit personal. You know what I mean? 25 points, 23 rebounds, some steals, few blocks, a few assists. He doesn't have to do that every night, but it has to be with that type of intent. It definitely has to be with that type of intent, and he has to play with that kind of passion in order for them to be able to do what they need to do, because that team constructed the way it is, if they get those role players on the same wavelength and all of them can contribute in small ways, D'Angelo Russell's not going to give you 44 points every night. He's just not. I mean, he had an amazing game against the Bucks, smoked them. Pat Bev, I'm definitely looking for his podcast because I don't want you running from the smoke. And Pat Bev is a stand-up guy. I don't want you coming back talking about the Clippers game just on your podcast. Talk about getting smoked, your boot smoked on Friday, bro. I want to hear about that shit. I want to see what you got going on. But you're not going to get 44 out of D'Angelo every night, nor should you expect to get 44 out of him. But can you get a consistent 15 to 17 points a game, maybe 8 assists? In the playoffs, those type of numbers are huge. Is Taurean Prince going to score 20 points or 17 points every night? No. But can we get you to make 2 or 3 open three-pointers in clutch moments? You know, that's what it's about as far as building a team. Teams are, some guys have this role, some guys have that role. We all know this. But I don't know any NBA superstar that's won a championship without good role players. And, you know, by all means, if you know one, put them in the comments, prove me wrong. But every NBA champion has had good role players. And if we just go back, I say what? Let's go 3 years. Who won it last year? Denver. Great role players. KCP. Jeff Green played a huge part in that. Brian Braun. All of these guys are great role players. You know, Murray and Jokic are the stars. They had Bruce Brown, another great role player. He was such a good role player. He got a $42 million deal for 2 years over in, I think he signed with the Pacers, but then he got traded. They had great role players. The year before that, the Warriors. We're all familiar with their role players. You know what I mean? Draymond, Kuminga, Jordan Poole, all these guys are great role players. What's the center's name? Damn it, I can't remember his name. Put it in the comments. You know what I'm talking about. You can't win a championship without a good team. You know, it might not be star loaded and all this shit. And, you know, all y'all do is talk about, oh, LeBron can't win with this. Jordan couldn't win without this shit either. None of them could, damn it. None of them could. Kobe didn't fucking win a championship by himself. Neither did Michael Jordan. Neither did LeBron, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Any person you want to put in that GOAT conversation, they've played with great players. There is no debating that. Argue with your mama, not me. Facts is facts. Numbers is numbers. Numbers don't lie. And another thing, let's address this goofy shit that's going on the internet right now. Somebody was like, Draymond Green has more than 2.2 3-pointers more, I think, than Larry Bird in his career. This is why numbers don't matter. This is why numbers don't matter to people like you. Because you're not too smart. Your basketball IQ is not there, bro, and it's not something for you to be. You shouldn't get in the sparring ring. You should sit on the sideline because that shit just stupid. If anybody thinks that Draymond Green is a better 3-point shooter than Larry Legend, we can never talk basketball. Ever. And that's no disrespect to Draymond, who, you know what I mean, he's probably going to be a Hall of Famer, had a great NBA career. It's just how it's positioned to you. But overall, I'm sticking with what I said about the Lakers. The Lakers are a threat. I know Kendrick Perkins gets on First Take all the time and talking about how they're not a threat. And everybody says the Lakers are not a damn threat. They're not this. They're not. The Lakers are a fucking threat. Don't believe the hype. The Lakers are a threat. If you are a 1, 2, or 3 seed, you should absolutely be worried about playing the Lakers in the first round. You should be worried about playing Phoenix Suns in the first round. You should not want to play Dallas in the first round. And if the Warriors get healthy, I wouldn't want to play their asses in the first round either. If you're the 1 or 2 seed out there in the West, Denver is climbing. Denver's the best team in the West. I've been saying it for a couple months now. Didn't matter their standings. Denver's the best team in the West. Boston's the best team in the East. This should definitely be our NBA matchup finals. In the East, you got the Miami Heat lurking. The Celtics, for whatever reason, have issues with the Heat. I'm not worried about Milwaukee because they still haven't gelled all the way and they still trying to figure shit out. But Pat Bev, I was joking about him earlier, but he is a good addition. He's a good leader, a good teammate. He's a guy that you hate to play against, but you love that he's on your team. Makes him better. But like I said, man, it's just the playoffs are about a month away. I think they usually start the first or second weekend in April. OKC is hanging tough. The Clippers are kind of up and down, but for the most part, the NBA is where it is. Like I said, the Lakers had 2 big wins this weekend. Minnesota, who was number 1 in the West, had 2 big losses. They lost to Cleveland and then they turned around and lost to the Lakers. So that's a lot going on in that Western Conference. Boston definitely has been up and down. Jason Tatum, my MVP candidate, is definitely taking himself out of that conversation. Not afraid to admit it, man. He's taking himself out of that conversation for sure with his play as of late. I think they played Portland tonight. I hadn't looked at his stats or anything, but he does do a lot for that team. And I'm not really worried about Boston. I'm just more concerned with health and if they're going to figure it out. I don't think him and Jaylen Brown have an issue as far as like whose team it is. I think everybody knows it's Jason Tatum's teams, but just trying to figure it out. Role players, they got great role players. Mazzulla is questionable as a great coach, just like any other player or coach. He got to prove it. He has to coach his team into a position of where they can bring home the trophy, and then you can kind of get considered or talked about as one of those great coaches. But we'll check back in. We're gonna see what the NBA week brings us. I'm not gonna get into free agency, man. I'm gonna actually try to record another video on that just because it was so many moves today. I could do another 20 minutes just on the moves, and I haven't really gone into anything specifically. But one other thing that I do want to point out real quick back to the LSU thing. If you go back and you watch that press conference, Kim Mulkey says more than just the whole, I wish she would have pushed Angel Reese. Before she gets into that, she credits South Carolina, and then she says there's only one foul call between both teams going into the fourth quarter. That right there is a gem that should be floating on social media that is not. And it's not because it's not controversial. That is a very good point. Why was there only one foul called between that time period? It should have been more fouls called. The refs control the game. So they take blame on that too. I think there's blame to go around. There's no one place to put it. It's an unfortunate situation, like Don said, and unfortunately it happens. In the moment, it's hard to control emotions. That's why I said Cardozo's not a bad person or a bad player, not even a dirty player. She just reacted. She didn't see that it's 3 Gamecocks over there and just one LSU player. But she was doing what she's supposed to do. She's protecting her family, she's protecting her sisters, and going after it. So, hopefully all parties involved learn from it. Make sure you check out the High Skies Visions page on Instagram. We also have a front office Facebook page. Check in with that. And we will be back probably Wednesday. Today or later on in about an hour or two. It's going to be Tuesday. I'll record Tuesday night and we'll drop a NFL episode on Wednesday. As always, man, we appreciate y'all tuning in. My name is Marcus, Front Office Podcast. Tees and Trees is the brand.